see you. Have you had a good week? I hope so. I hope it's been a good week for you. And you done anything exciting? Right. Oh, that's good. That's fun. Oh, you want to know what all this is about? Yes. Well, I guess that looks much more exciting than telling me what you've been up to this week. Yes. Well, first of all, it is the second Sunday after Epiphany. Do you remember Epiphany was when we celebrated the wise men coming and visiting the little Jesus in Bethlehem? Well, it's now 2 Sundays after that. And so now we're on the second Sunday after Epiphany. And we are also in the first of the green growing seasons. Is anything growing out in your yard? I was out the back, when was it? Wednesday, I think it was, or Thursday, with my dog Buster out the back of the church. And I was looking at the trees while he was having a run around. And the buds are just beginning to form. You can't see any green yet, but the little buds are all getting big and fat, all ready to burst open into leaves. So it reminds us that we're in the first of the green growing seasons. Yeah, I wonder how many green Sundays we're going to have before we start Lent. I think actually we've got too many there, but we'll work that one out later. Well, for the next 10 weeks, all the way up until Palm Sunday, we are going to be looking at a very special prayer. It's the one that Jesus taught his disciples. They asked him, how are we supposed to pray to God? And he told them a good prayer to use, a starting place. And so we're going to look for the next 10 weeks at the different parts of Jesus' special prayer, the prayer we call the Lord's Prayer. Some of you may know it, some of you may not, but it's a good one to learn because we say it every single Sunday when we come to church. And the grown-ups say it every single Sunday when they watch the services online. And so it's a really good prayer to learn. But we're going to look at that. But first of all, let us light the candle that reminds us that Jesus is always with us, especially with us when we talk to him. And prayer is a way of talking to Jesus. So there we have our light of Christ. Well, the very first line in the Lord's Prayer is, that's right, you got in before me, didn't you? Our Father who art in heaven. Our Father. Jesus told his disciples, his followers, to call Jesus Father. Well, it wasn't the first time that God had been called Father, because in the old part of the Bible, he's also called Father. But Jesus uses a special word for Father. He uses the Arabic word Abba, Father. And it's more like saying Daddy, Dad. It's like calling your father Dad. So he's saying, you know, God is very close to you, just like your dad is very close to you. Yeah, not all dads are quite that close, but the sort of dad that we'd really like to have, that's how God is. And our dads are a bit like that too. Some of our dads are really good, and I hope your dad is really good too. So one little boy who was 6 years old said, when my dad is at his goodest, his best, he is a bit like God. So maybe when your dad is at his goodest, his best, he's a bit like God. Well, I've got some things here on the table, and I don't know if any of them might make you think of dads, fathers. Yeah, there's a globe of the world. There's a football. There's a hen with little chicks underneath her wings. There's a heart. There's a cross. There's a baby. You see the baby? Yes, it's a baby. There's a shepherd carrying his sheep. And this is a picture of my dad before I was born. Yes, that's when he was in the war, the Second World War. And I've got a cookery book. Now this cookery book is a favourite cookery book of my two sons. They love the recipes in this. It's a chocolate cookery book. Lady MacDonald's chocolate book. And there are a lot of recipes they like in there. And they asked me several times to send them some of those recipes, their favourite recipes, so they can make them for their children, because their children like chocolate recipes. So I thought that might be a really good book to remind us of dads. Does your dad cook? Does he cook chocolate things? Oh, he's best at barbecues. Right. Oh, your dad cooks a really good roast dinner. Yes. Your dad's good at barbecues too. Lots of dads are good at barbecues. Yes. I wonder if, I've also got a pot with lots of markers in, all different colours. Can you see them? Yes. Well, I wonder if any of these objects make you think of dads. My dad, yes. And the cookery book, The heart, because your dad loves you so much. Yes, yes. What about the chicken with the little chicks? Oh, you think that's more about mums? Oh, you think that could be like dads, because dads care for you too and hug you? Oh, you think the shepherd is like a dad, because he cares for his sheep, makes sure that they don't get lost, and your dad looks after you. You got lost in the supermarket one day and your dad had to come and find you. What did he do when he found you? Oh, he picked you up and gave you a huge hug. That's good, yes. He was a bit cross with you, but he still loved you, yes, yes. I wonder why he was cross with you. Oh, because you weren't keeping up. You were you were looking at all the candy, right? Yeah. What about the baby? Dads can look after their babies, yes. Oh, your dad changed your diaper when you were a baby. I bet your mum was really pleased that he helped with that. And he got up in the night as well. That's good too, yes. Well, It's all different things that can remind us of our dads. So I wonder, I've got all these colours. I wonder which of these colours I've got here, I wonder which of these colours makes you think of dads. Blue, green, orange, blue, dark blue. I wonder. Oh, a lot of you think I should use the dark blue. You think dark blue is the best colour for dads. Right. Actually, it's quite good because I'm going to write the first line of the Lord's Prayer, Our Father who art in heaven. And I guess heaven, we think of heaven being blue, don't we? We don't know if it is, because it's not really the sky, though sometimes we think of it like the sky. So I'm going to write, oh, I need to put my glasses on, don't I? So I can see what I'm doing. Our Father who art in heaven. Maybe you can get a very big piece of paper and do the same each week so we can build the Lord's Prayer. Our Father who art in heaven. Yes. Where shall I put? By next week I'll put it up on the wall so that we can do another line each week as we go through the Lord's Prayer. At the moment I'll just stick it there. There we go. There you are. Then you can see it, can't you? I wonder, when you pray, Our Father, what picture you have of God in your head. You think he looks like an old man. You think he looks a little bit like your dad. You don't really have a picture. It's sort of like a cloud. Yeah, there's no right answer. There's no right answer. So, I wonder why Jesus used those words, Our Father. I wonder why Jesus used the words, Our Father. Because he wanted us to know how much God loves us, just like the best father in the world. Yeah, that's a good answer, yes. Yeah. I wonder how God feels when we call him our Father. Think he feels good? Yes. He likes us to call him our Father. Yeah. Yeah. Because he cares about us. Yes. He likes us to talk to him. That's true. Yes. Now, I wonder what object God would choose for us. I wonder what object God would choose for you. Oh, you think the football because you like football. You think the heart because he wants us to be loving like him. That's a good answer. Oh, you think the chicken because he wants us to care about people. Yeah. You think the world because he wants us to care about the world. I think it's all going to be about caring, isn't it? Yes. I wonder how we talk to God. Do you talk to God with words? Do you say your prayers out loud and tell God all about the things in your life out loud, or do you do it in your head? I do it a lot in my head. Or maybe you do it with your hands as well. Some people like to talk with their hands. Yes, that's good. Right. Well, today I'm going to tell you a story about a father in the Bible. Let's put these over here. Let's move these out of the way, and you can see the story. Oops, maybe I need to put them over here because they'll get in the way of the story. There we go. Well, this story has a father in it. And in fact, it's really two stories. One story inside another story. The main story is about a man called Jairus. He was the leader of the synagogue, and he lived in Jerusalem. And actually it wasn't Jerusalem, it was another place. And he lived with his wife and his daughter and their servant. And one day, Jesus was visiting their town. And everybody heard that Jesus was in town with his disciples. And they all wanted to see Jesus and hear Jesus. And so crowds of people came out to hear and see Jesus. He could barely move along the road. There were so many people who wanted to see him. There were mums and dads, aunties and uncles, grandmas and grandpas, and children, and teenagers. We mustn't forget our teenagers. Let's put the teenager over here. Yeah. And they all were coming out to see Jesus as he walked along the dusty road. Well, Jairus heard that Jesus was coming to town. And he'd also heard that Jesus could heal the sick. Now, Jairus' daughter was very, very sick. And her mother and the servant were looking after her. Jairus decided that he was going to ask Jesus to make his daughter better. So he started walking along the road to where Jesus was. And because he was important in the synagogue, people let him come through to talk to Jesus. And he said to Jesus, "My daughter is very, very sick. Will you come to my house and make her well again?" "Of course I will," said Jesus. And they started off towards Jairus' house. And the disciples followed. And the people followed to see what Jesus would do. They wanted to see Jesus heal the daughter of Jairus. Only you can make her well, said Jairus. None of the doctors can make her well. I will do that, said Jesus. I will make her well. Now, as they were going, there was a woman who'd been following, and she had been unwell for 12 years. Oops. Let's get everybody stood up again. And she had been sick for 12 years. And she spent all her money on the doctors, but none of them had been able to make her well. And she had heard that Jesus could make people well again. But she was afraid. She was afraid to say anything to Jesus. So she crept up behind him and touched his cloak. And then she raced away, and as she raced away, she could feel that she was well again. Oh, she had been healed by Jesus. But just as she had touched Jesus and felt Jesus' power make her well again, Jesus knew that someone had touched him because he felt some of the power go from him, the healing power. And he goes, "Who was it that touched me?" Well, the woman was a little nervous, but she knew she had to say to Jesus it was her. So she came up to Jesus and said, "Sir, it was me, and I'm well." And Jesus said, "Woman, daughter, your faith has saved you. Go and enjoy the rest of your life." And she was so happy. Jesus wasn't cross with her. He wanted to make her well. And so they continued on the path. But just then, Jairus' servant came up to Jairus and said, "Don't bother Jesus anymore. Your daughter's died." But Jesus heard, and he turned round and he said to Jairus, "Don't worry, everything will be fine. Let's carry on to your house." And so they did. They carried on to the house. And Jairus was so worried about his daughter, but Jesus said it was all going to be fine. And the people followed, and the disciples followed. Until they all got to Jairus' house. And when they got there, dear, I'm not very good this morning, am I? Keep knocking everything over. all came up to Jairus' house, and as they came up, they could hear so much wailing. Oh, there was so many tears, so much wailing. And Jesus said, "You don't need to cry. The little girl is only asleep." Well, most people did not believe him. But Jesus went into the house, and the only people he would allow to go with him were Jairus, and the little girl's mother was already there, and three of his disciples, Peter, James, and John. Everybody else had to stay outside. Jesus went into the house with Peter, James, and John, Jairus, and the little girl's mother, and he touched the hand of the little girl, and he said, "Little girl, get up." And the little girl sat up, and then she stood up, and she opened her eyes, and Jesus said, "Give her something to eat." Her parents were amazed. Jesus said, "Don't tell anyone what happened." Well, somebody did tell what happened. Otherwise we wouldn't know the story now, would we? Jesus made the woman who had been ill well again, and made the little girl, Jairus' daughter, well again. I wonder which part of the story you liked best. Two people being made well again by Jesus, yes. I wonder how Jairus felt when he heard that his little girl was dead. Very sad, yes. I wonder how he felt when Jesus told him not to worry, that it would all be okay. Not sure? Felt better? Jesus was in charge? Yes. I wonder how the little girl felt when she woke up and Jesus was touching her and holding her hand. You think she might have wondered what was going on? Yes. Maybe she didn't know how sick she was. I wonder why Jesus said, "Give her something to eat." Because she'd been sick so long, she needed it to make her strong again. Yes, that's good. I wonder how the woman felt when she touched Jesus' cloak. A bit nervous, not sure if it would work. I wonder how she felt when she felt better, just after touching Jesus' cloak. Yes. Jesus came very close to them, and they felt better. Yes. I wonder if there's any part of the story you don't like. that the little girl died. Yeah, that's very sad. And not everybody gets made better. I wonder how Jesus coming close to you or to somebody who's not getting better will feel like. Still makes people feel good. Makes them feel God loves them. Yes. I wonder what sort of dad Jairus was. A very good dad, because he went to find Jesus, didn't he? And he trusted Jesus. Yes. He cared about his little girl. Yes. Well, I wonder this week whether you can think about your family. There's two things you could do. I suggest you draw 2 trees on a nice big bit of paper. And you draw big leaves on the trees. And underneath one of them, you can put my family tree. And on the leaves, write the names of everybody you know in your family. Okay? Your brothers and sisters, your mums and dads, your aunties, your uncles, your cousins, your grandmas, your grandpas. Yes, even the ones who've died and gone to be with Jesus, because they're still part of your family. Yes. And then on the second tree, you can write my church family. And then on the leaves, write the names of all the people you can remember from church. The names of everyone from church. I'm sorry, I thought I'd turned it off. So write the name of everyone you remember from church. So you could write my name and the name of your Sunday school teacher and Kristen, who teaches you to sing. And I wonder who, and maybe your friends in Sunday school. See if you can write as many names on the leaves as you can. I wonder which tree will have the most names on. Oh, probably your family, yes. And remember that we're all part of God's family. Your family, the church family, every family is part of God's family. And God is our Father. So let's just finish before you go and sing with Kristen. Let's just say a special prayer. I'm going to say a special prayer, and then we're going to say the Lord's Prayer and see if you can join in with me. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for your love. Thank you for my family at home and my family at church. Thank you for giving us arms to hug each other, even though we can't do it very much now. Thank you for showing us the right way to live. Thank you for loving us, even when we make you sad. You love us more than we can ever imagine. Thank you for your love. Amen. And now say the Lord's Prayer with me. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. And now we're going to change the light, but it will remind us that Jesus is always with us. As the smoke from the light goes up and fills the room, so Jesus' light and love fills the world. Be safe, have fun, and God bless you. Amen.
Hi everyone, I'm glad you're joining us for Sunday School today. Last week we started learning a song called We Are Marching in the Light of God, and it went something like this. We are marching in the light of God, we are marching in the light of God. Hopefully that sounds familiar. It went on from there. And I told you that there were some other languages. So today we're going to learn the Spanish words. And there's only a few of them and they repeat over and over. So our Spanish words are marcharemos en el luz del Dios. And it means the same thing. We are marching in the light of God. So repeat after me. Marcharemos en el luz del Dios. And we're just going to sing that. So I'll sing it so you can hear how the words line up, and then you will echo me. My turn first. Marcharemos en el luz del Dios. 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 Marcharemos, remos, marcharemos, marcharemos, remos, marcharemos, marcharemos en el luz del Dios. Marcharemos en el luz del Dios. Marcharemos, remos, marcharemos, marcharemos, remos, marcharemos, marcharemos en el luz del Dios. Marcharemos en el luz del Dios. Now we're going to sing it straight through, once in English and once in Spanish. So first, we are marching in the light of God, and then marcharemos en el luz del Dios. Here's your starting note. Take a good breath, and we are marching in the light of God. 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 We are marching, marching, we are marching, we are marching in the light of God. We are marching, marching, we are marching, we are marching in the light of God. Marcharemos en el luz del Dios. 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 Marcharemos, remos, marcharemos, marcharemos en el luz del Dios. Marcharemos, remos, marcharemos, marcharemos en el luz del Dios. Great job singing along. Next week we're going to learn one more language. But before we go, let's close with our benediction song, Father, I Adore You. Here's your starting note. Take a good breath, and Father, I adore you. Thanks for singing with me. I'll see you next week. Goodbye.